Okay, so for this last video, we're going to be talking about dividing fractions. And this is really similar, however, we do have one extra step than we had when we were multiplying. So here we see when dividing fractions, we're going to first flip the second fraction and then multiply across. And something to just remember is if we're dividing by a, which that can be 3, 5, whatever number, it's the same thing as multiplying by 1 over a. And we will see an example of that later on. And so some kind of acronym that you can use to remember the steps for dividing fractions is KFC. And what that stands for is keep. So you're going to keep that first fraction, flip the second fraction, and then change. And so change that division to multiplication. So let's go ahead and try this first one. So my first step, can these fractions be reduced? 5/9, 2/5? No, they can't. Second step, KFC. So I am going to keep that first fraction, flip that second fraction, so instead of 2/5, I'm going to have 5/2. And then I'm going to change this division sign to multiplication. And then from there, I'm going to do just like we did in that last video. So I'm going to multiply across. So 5 times 5, I get 25. 9 times 2, I get 18. And I look, that can't be reduced. So I'm done. Okay, now let's look at this next one. So I have 6/8 divided by 2/3. My first step, can either of these be reduced? 2/3, no. 6/8, both of those are even numbers. So that means I can divide 2 from both. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. I'm dividing by 2. So 6 divided by 2, I get 3. 8 divided by 2, I get 4. And then now I'm going to go through KFC. So keep that first fraction. I'm going to flip the second fraction. So now it's going to be 3/2 instead of 2/3. And then change that division to multiplication. And then now I'm going to go ahead and multiply across. So I have 3 times 3 and 4 times 2. So 3 times 3, I get 9. And then 4 times 2, I get 8. So my final answer is 9/8. Okay, so here is what I was talking about with that A. So here I have 2/3 divided by 3. So I know in my process I'm going to have to flip the second fraction. However, this 3 isn't a fraction. However, it actually is. So whenever I have a whole number, like 3, we can always put this over 1. So any whole number, 7, 8, 100, you can always put it over 1. So now I have 2 fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my first fraction, flip my 3/1 to become 1/3, and then change my division to multiplication. And then I'm going to multiply across. So 2 times 1, I get 2. 3 times 3, I get 9. So you're always going to do this with a whole number. Okay, so now go ahead and pause the video and try that last one on your own. So for this last one, you should have gotten the answer too. So this one was a little bit tricky. Once you did KFC, you got 20/10. However, we can't stop there because it's not all the way reduced. And I see that I can divide both top and bottom by 10. And so when I did that, I got 2/1. It's okay if you left your answer that way. However, since 2 divided by 1 is just 2, we always normally just go ahead and leave it as 2.